That's it.
It is 6 o'clock, and my first and there is Peter Agavi and Joan Cathy. I will sing for the rest of this meeting. It is only Tuesday. Thank you, everyone, for joining us online and in person. Tonight, when we have work sessions, right, the goal for those virtual and those in person is to have casual discussions, right? Open-ended, first-name basis if you feel comfortable. If not, you can still use titles. The council is comfortable with first names, right? Are we good?
Correct.
Yeah. So roll call. Everyone is here. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Eileen, and Kelly, and Angela, and Megan. Our first item, Tumwater Parks and Recreation Events 2026. I'm super excited. Oh. You might have noticed Todd dropped his pen, because when we had a meeting a while ago, I didn't realize I made a facial expression and just slow motion dropped my pen. So now that will forever be our joke, besides that and horses terrifying me. Why we have, we're going to give it to Chuck and Marisa and Todd in a second, but why we have them here today, I'll tell you about later. He traumatized me with horses. Yeah, had me judge horses, and they attacked me. We blame Todd. We'll blame you.
All right.
You know, yes, John?
What was the question?
You're not muted.
So she thought you had a question?
Yes. I just like saying your name, and it has been a really long day. So I'm gonna focus. I want to get through this. In the past, we have wondered about all the events, who's going, who's not going. So we're trying an approach this year of going over all the events and just having a discussion of who would like to attend, who would like to say something, and actually having Marisa and then working with staff to add them to your calendar, which then would help if you want to go for Brittany, keeping track of all of you, right? But also showcasing and working and getting to know staff better and being engaged in our community and having a Tumwater presence at all our events, right? It's not just a figurehead, it's all of us. It's staff, council, and the mayor and city administrator. So that's the goal for tonight, is you all hear what's going on and we have a conversation about that. Does that work for everybody? Okay. Parks now has the floor, except for Todd Emerson.
Well, thank you for allowing us to come.
No, you're welcome.
And, yeah, like Leah said, I just kind of wanted to come and talk about our events. I know we have some new council members now, and you might have questions of what happens at the events or what they are. And so really want to make sure you know what's happening and that we want you there, but also I think the public really enjoys seeing the leaders at these events. So I just have a quick slideshow to go through. If you look in your handout, the calendar of events, and I asked Marisa to come because Marisa, she's the one that coordinates will coordinate with you on all the events. So it would be good to put a face to the name. She also promotes all our events and programs. Helps me a lot with sponsorships, making sure we meet their expectations. That's a big deal. We have over $130,000 in sponsorships last year. She works with me on that a lot. She's amazing. So,
she's a rock star.
Yeah, she's a rock star. So I want to thank you for being here, Marisa. But if you have questions, she's the one that will communicate when our events come up. So you'll work with her. So that's why she's here, and keep me in mind. But yeah, if you look, we'll go through these calendar events and follow along. We'll go through some of the events, and here we go. First special events that we offer that is on the list is our Easter Egg Dash, which is coming up in April 4th, and the next one highlighted on your list is the Christmas tree lighting festival that we do the first Saturday in December. Our Egg Dash, if you look below there's Detective Cole. We're very fortunate that the police are present at all our events. This one's quality control too. She's giving that kid a ticket for taking too many eggs. So we appreciate that. But really, the police department Tree Lighting Festival, that's, the December 5th, 1 to 5:30, and at the fire station is where mainly the choirs sing, from 1 to 5:30. We partner with the school districts, so we have about 5 schools that participate, bring their choirs or marimba from Tomor Hill, and they play. And we have all activities at City Hall. We have standing in this room, taking pictures. We have a craft activity in the break room, and arts and crafts too at the fire department. And then we end the night with a countdown. Once we're done with the choirs, everybody goes out to the tree, and we count down. And I believe Leota is going to let this year a lucky kid from one of the schools do the lighting of the tree. So that'll be pretty exciting.
This vacation style?
Yeah.
Everything, there's the whole city goes dark except the tree. Yeah.
Our Easter egg dash that's coming up, that is Saturday, April 11th at 11, and this is probably one of our, April 4th, sorry, probably one of our quickest events. It takes a lot to stuff 20,000 eggs with candy and prizes, a lot of volunteer effort, but when the event comes, those kids pick those up in a matter of minutes, seconds sometimes, and the event's pretty done at 12, so if you want to come to the event, that's a quick one to be present at, and we'll take all day.
We had the chance to meet with the seniors yesterday, and they
Yes,
were
Old Town Center.
at the Old Town Center. The seniors were very excited about their role in volunteering to help stuff the eggs, and we thought that was a really cool way to engage our
Yeah.
senior center with
Stuff.
You will.
Eileen and I mean, it was like the best lunch hour I had last year with stuffing eggs, seriously.
Yeah.
So when we had a conversation, in the past, it was, the mayor attending and speaking, and I don't want to do that, right, serving as mayor. So the thought process is when we talk about the Easter egg dash, well, I automatically thought of Megan and Brandon and grandkids, if they're present, you all going, right? And then does someone really need to say something? Or could it be staff, or could it be sponsors? Like thinking of things differently, those opportunities, right? And so there's an opportunity to work with Marisa of what could it look like if staff decided they would like a little welcome, that it would be you all. Does that make sense, right?
Yeah.
And like Peter with his kids, and like if Joan is able to go something, like that we hear from council. So that's what I would like, if you have the interest, that it's open to you to do that.
Yeah, and it can be from you participating, and we acknowledge you at the event, you having a role, if you want to help out, or we can be flexible there. And so I want you to feel comfortable with whether you're just showing up as support, or if you want to be involved, we can do to put you to work.
Yeah. Well, now you have a conduit. If you have comments or questions, you can just talk to Marisa directly.
Then we have this thing called the 4th of July here in the city, our largest one-day event. We have a parade, of course, in the morning that starts at 11, pre-parade at 10:45. And that's about 9,000 people come out for the parade. We're average about 80 to 90 entries for that parade, last 5 years. Tradition in Tumwater. And then when the parade ends, we head down to the golf course, where we have a free family festival from 6 to 10. And 10:15-ish is when the fireworks go off. And then we head home, or everybody heads home after a 20-minute show. And so those are 2 large events we'd love for all of you to be part of, which a lot of you are judges or just be part of that's happening, of course, on July 4th every year.
The seniors also had the idea of perhaps decorating a bus and being part of it.
I love that idea. So like the Old Town Center would enter the contest, would enter the parade.
We get one of the inner city transit bus.
I want one of those. I would want us all to ride.
Oh.
I'm gonna keep running into Derek while he's walking. I'll just be in a little bus next to us. Marie said you can get some tiny buses for those of council who don't want to ride in the AMC.
I can't promise anything.
Okay, Jessica, you can get one.
Can Carlos put it into his
We
budget?
do have one, yeah.
Please. Get a call, mini fire
Yeah, we have
trucks
golf
or.
carts, right?
yeah.
Can't we? You know what? Okay, they're taking notes. Let's keep going. You're getting really excited. You're getting really.
So our festivals at our driving range, I want to mention that, you know, our golf course is a golf course most of the time, but it's also a community event center for our community. And the 4th of July hosts, it's between 12 and 15,000 people come out. Festival down there on our 10-acre site, filled with activities for kids, bounce houses, a stage with entertainment, bands, and then food. It's a great time, and right now we don't charge for people to come. It's a free family event. We do charge parking. Half of those fees goes to the Special Olympics. It's a big job. They work for that money and they deserve it. It's a good cause. So yeah, so that's a great, largest event in this area. One-day event is worth it.
Question.
Yes.
So are the Special Olympic athletes are the ones that's doing the parking? And,
A lot of them are.
okay,
Yeah. A lot of them are the parents too.
it's a great partnership.
Yeah.
Where's the other,
Sorry.
where's the other 50% going?
Do that towards the fireworks.
Okay.
I mean, I can't remember the last time, other than if I was out of town, that I've missed the fireworks show. That is the first time that I knew about that partnership.
I didn't know.
Okay, maybe we can sign that better. Yeah, and he'll talk more about it at Brewfest.
Or, yeah.
Parking is bad house, and it's a difficult, long day.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot of years and a lot of training, and there's a lot of liability there.
Yeah.
So having a group like that continues to come back year after year.
Yeah.
It's a huge bonus to their budget.
Yeah.
Can we ever give them like special recognition or acknowledgement at a council meeting?
Not yet.
I mean, I think it's a great partnership. I feel like I go to that event every year and I just never realized, so.
Yeah.
Well, something exciting I should mention, this just happened, but we are working with them to provide an area or egg dash for sensitive kind of, I forget what we're calling it.
Sensory. They wanted to call it sensory, the schoolhouse, like
It's
Keith McMurray stuff?
yeah, they're helping us come up with the right wording,
Nice.
but it's basically for sensory kind of,
When you get overstimulated.
yeah.
Also,
And
the name that
disability,
they came up with
yeah.
was intellectual and developmental disability area. That's what they to go with, but of course it will be also, there are plenty of kids that have sensory issues, and if you've ever been to the Easter egg dash, even if you
I
don't
have.
have sensory.
Yes, it's a lot.
It can be a lot.
Right.
It can be loud, so if kids
I
want
love
to be
that.
in another space, I think it's
So that's a new
That's awesome.
addition this
we've been
year.
getting that feedback.
A great partnership that they're helping us with too. So. And for the parking, we've had different groups help us with the parking over the 20 years. It's been wrestling teams, football teams, with the high schools. It's been church groups. So the Special Olympics, I think we've been partnering with this will be our 4th straight year. So it's been a great, I hope they continue. It's a big job. They deserve it. Then we have this thing called the Brewfest, which is our second largest event, biggest event. On the 3rd Saturday of August, it's the 15th this year, 1 to 7. Again, it's at our golf course, our driving range. It's a very valuable area for putting on community events. We're lucky to have it.
So I have a question. Is it just for beer, or do we have cider and non-alcoholic drinks?
Yes, we have, a lot of it, well, just the extra at this event, but we have over 50 brewers. It is focused on beer, but there's cider, there's wine, there's spirits, and there's non-alcoholic drinks too
Okay.
available. Did I get all? No Bud Light, I don't.
For a dozen food vendors left.
Lots of food vendors. Chicken Supply was the best one last year. If you go, get some chicken supply. And then we have between 4,000 and 5,000 people. We've been about 4,000 last few years, I keep thinking we're gonna crest the 5,000. I think this year is the year. Gonna happen. We're really got a great lineup on entertainment, bands. Chuck works with a production company to come up with a great lineup. Again, it's also not just drinking beer. There's activities for adults where you can act like a kid. We're in obstacle courses, there's cornhole, there's beer stein contests, there's photo booths, and other activities, bubbles. I like doing bubbles. And karaoke, we have karaoke tent. So a lot of activities going on just besides having.
When you
Here's the
have
part.
these events, do we ever get an update from police and fire of their contact with attendees? Any medical issues or disruptions? Do you get a summary of like,
Well, we're in contact through the whole event, so we know when something happens. And really been just extremely fortunate. The Brewfest is pretty low key, and we don't really have many problems there. 4th of July, when you have 10,000-15,000 people, and it's a little more crazy, and more things happen, but nothing major.
I know, I was like,
And I gotta say, at Brewfest, the police are the most popular people there.
because they're all drinking. I'm just kidding. I volunteered one year at Brewfest, and, if you plan on, pouring beer, you should actually know how. That's my only advice to people.
you have to pour?
Well, I didn't have to, I signed up to,
Oh, I didn't.
and I didn't know what I was doing, and people were not happy when they got a glass full of foam, so. It's harder than what it looks.
Well,
It is an art. It is an art. Okay, I mean, that's practice, yeah.
Yeah, we typically don't let volunteers pour. It's just the brewers that.
Ever since that one year that I did it.
We changed.
It's fair, it's fair. It was bad.
The glasses, hey.
Any other questions of Brewfest?
Yes, so is this a paid event? What happens with, the money once it's collected? Does it go to the city? Does it go to Special Olympics, Boys and Girls Club?
And it goes to Special Olympics. Parking again goes to Special Olympics. We typically do it's a token-based system, so you buy tokens to fill your glass, so you're paying with a token. And then we have another thing for Special Olympics where people that have extra tokens or just want to donate tokens can throw those in a bucket, and that goes to Special Olympics as well. So there's signage for that to promote them, and then any excess revenue goes back to the Tumwater Downtown Association for the next year's event.
Okay, so do we partner with Experience Olympia and Beyond to do this, or just Tumwater specific?
They help us advertise. Marisa works with them to get the word out for that. But our main source of advertising is through the brewers and distillers, all over from Bellingham to Bend, Oregon to Spokane, and they're promoting it within their facilities that they're going to be there and come see us.
And then our lodging tax, we support them with our lodging tax as well, so Tumwater does. Thank you, because it's a Tumwater event.
So as our partner in this, the Tumwater Downtown Association actually carries the liability and has the liquor license. So the city is not buying.
So Tumwater Downtown Association, and they're different from our TAAC, right? Our Chamber of Commerce, are they the same?
Nope. Quick history, Tumwater Downtown Association started as kind of a jab to Mayor Osgood from the local business community because Tumwater didn't have a downtown. So they formed this group. But in Osgood style, he turned that into a positive, and we started working with those business owners, and then they started participating in the 4th of July festival down at the golf course, and then they started funding our fireworks show. And then they help us with tree lighting, they help us with a couple other events, and then they ended up helping us with.
Okay. Thanks, Chuck.
Okay, moving on. So I talked about the community events that are listed on your sheet there. first one is Dog Days and Rally in the Valley. This will be our 4th year offering Dog Days to the community. That is going to be June 13th, 10 a.m. to 2, and this is at Pioneer Park. Same day that Rally Valley is, it's our adult volleyball, our junior and adult volleyball tournament happening on the same day. Our sponsor of these two events is Peak Credit Union. The reason this event happened was because Peak came on board and really sponsored and paid for this event the first year. And they also supply about 30 staff members to help run it, facilitate it. It was the first animal dog event that we've done in this area. Yelm has picked it up and they're doing a similar event this year. But we get about 1,000 people last year, so we're thinking about 1,500 this year that come down to Pioneer Park, and it's about people celebrating their dogs. We have activities, booths. You can actually we have animal clinic come and give up to $1,500 worth of free vaccines for animals. So it's a great event. If you've never been to it, I suggest you try to stop by. I know there's some people that like dogs here, so small ones. If you have the small ones up there for you. Yeah, it's just a fun event. Chattanooga leads that event. So encourage you to come by. And we added Raleigh Valley at the same time, so 3 years ago. That started out as a just adult volleyball tournament. And the first year we had 33 teams, which is pretty good for a first year tournament. Last year we had 44, so it's growing. And we're adding a junior division, so we're partnering with Pacific Northwest Volleyball. They did a separate volleyball tournament for juniors last summer at Pioneer Park, and we said, hey, would you like to join us and be part of our tournament? We'll have and allows us to have a junior hit the junior, younger kids, and adults. So we're expecting 60 to 70 teams this year. Our next, if you look, see Wonder Woman, that is Screen on the Green. So we offer movie nights throughout the summer. We do that at our golf course, at different parks. We've done it at City Hall. And those are Friday nights in the summer. We have July 17th is our first one, July 24th, and August 7th. And our sponsor there is Toyota. We did one last year at Toyota at the dealership, which was pretty cool. They have an AstroTurf on the side there, and that was pretty neat. So we used to do them all at the golf course, and then after COVID, kind of got out popping them up in different parks, and it's been really neat to see the different communities come together. And I live towards Parkwood Park, and it's neat to see neighbors walking to the park, all the stuff. So it's been a great niche that we've done, and we'll continue to probably rotate to different parks. And let's see. Those two players down there. I have Party at the Park on here. It's kind of part of our youth baseball league, but it really is an event at the end. It celebrates the end of our season. And we have a party at the park. And so we invite all the teams out for games. We have inflatables, food. It's really a way to celebrate the end of the season, a fun way, positive way. And each player is acknowledged by their name in front of the stand, in front of everybody. It's just a neat time. That's Maurice's son right there. Right. So that's definitely, yeah. So
it's not one of our traditional community events, so it's not on this list, but I just like to point it out because it is one of the cutest things ever.
Well, would you
Even
want
if my
council
kid wasn't
to
there.
attend? Can they attend?
Yeah, I think we should add that.
Can we add it
Yeah,
to the,
absolutely.
be okay with?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's very
okay.
cute. Yeah, all the kids parade out on the field and the mayor throws the first
Yeah.
pitch.
Oh, that I will do.
We're gonna warm you up before.
Window shatters.
Our alarm.
Yep, we could add that, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
I believe it's May 16th, so it's mid-May. This is another unique event that we added 4 years ago, Balls Fest. Different than any event we've done. very focused on arts, being creative. The salmon down at this is at Brewery Park. We've got over 20 art vendors that come. We have bands playing. It's a really fun environment. And also the salmon are a big draw, so it's the last Saturday in September. So this year is the September 26th. It's 10 a.m. to 4. The salmon are running, so you get people that are coming to check out the salmon, and oh, there's an event here. And you got people coming just for the event. I highly recommend you stop by for this one. Just, you know, we partner with a lot of community groups, stream teams there. Is there. We have a lot of educational, a lot of vendors, community groups, so a lot of fun. And if you can come to that, that'd be great. And so far, it hasn't rained on us yet in the last 3 years, so we're
This one also offers a really good partnership with Intercity Transit, because if you're familiar with Brewery Park at all, it's not really great for parking, and we need to use that whole little parking lot for our food vendors and artisans and things like that. So Intercity Transit has been a really great partner over the last few years. They have some great marketing people that really help me push out, you know, take the bus, ride a bike, and then Intercity Transit is on site, and they do a bike ballet on site. They'll take it. So that's been really.
Yeah, Eileen, did you get that sticker there? Also, that trail sticker?
Yeah, I got it from that, yeah.
Yeah, I got the same one.
Yeah.
And this year, we're adding, you said informal.
He likes to.
No, I love it. That laughter is in support.
Oh, cool. We're adding pumpkins this year. So, something new, we usually have a separate family pumpkin night, at the schools, and this year we're gonna switch it to adding that event to this event, and we're gonna do a 30 by 30 tent, have 300 pumpkins, shelters, farm, likes the idea because that's their first weekend they're open, so we can promote that they're open, and so we're gonna try that this year. So that's gonna be, I'd like to say that was my idea, it wasn't, it was part of the rec team.
Can I-
Somebody grew out of it.
Where is that farm located?
Shelter, so down in Squally, Valley, is that right?
So not in Tumwater.
No,
So what about Rutledge Farm that is in Tumwater?
we haven't worked with them, but.
Yeah, we've just developed a relationship over the years because they approached us and said, hey, we'll give you as many pumpkins as you want. They donate all pumpkins.
Like, I'm not saying no,
Yeah.
I'm saying like yes and. We like, maybe not, but just ongoing conversation because we've had some,
We're meeting with Rutledge, and so we
Yeah.
can talk to them and see if they have interest, so. We have a meeting set with them.
Yeah, they usually donate about between 250 to 300.
I love that, that's cool.
Drive out in I love it, drive out the field, pick up, it's slow.
Tracking the greenhouse gas emissions from all the driving that you're doing. Anyhow.
The volunteer Tumwater. The Parks Department took over this program, after COVID, and it's been a great addition, I believe, to our department. And we do have some events, service projects that I'd love for you to come out. The top one there is the cleanup drop-off that we do every year here at City Hall. The big one is shredding paper, but you can also recycle, batteries now, thanks to Alyssa and her team. And so you can drop off canned food for the food bank, you can pick up, medication lockbox. So when I first did this event, I wondered how long it would last, thinking do people really want to shred paper or hold on to paper.
Yeah, it turns out that's
Nothing to do, and it's grown every year. We had over 400 cars last year. It's just popular. We've had WCIA come out and video because they use it as an example to other cities of how you run cleanup drop-off events. So, Eileen and Leah has helped us over the years and would love help for that event.
You will get invitations.
Yeah.
I remember a little lesson on proper shoe attire.
I don't recall. What you're talking about? What?
Pepper shoe attire.
Oh, well.
I just also want for the record that actually our mayor Komet left because the weather was so bad. And I stayed in my loafers.
I thought we were doing Christmas. That was the year.
Well, I do remember the drive-through Christmas event.
That was the drive-through
I
Christmas
was
event.
trying, you couldn't tell because I was so loud.
I wore culottes and loafers.
Raining.
And it was horizontal rain.
Yeah.
But when I left my house, big summer, that weather was not the same.
I do remember
Christmas.
the first year was really that.
It was, you guys did it. It was great.
It was a Christmas to remember.
And April, or the Easter,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the good umbrella, or, the balloons.
Below that is our Earth Day, Arbor Day event that we do at Historical Park. And that's been we used to have Earth Day and Arbor Day separate events. Arbor Day was kind of here with the library or somewhere else, and we had Earth Day, and we have combined those two, and it's been a great partnership, large part of working with Melissa, I just mentioned this. But it's true. She does a great job organizing and keeping the board involved, and it has worked out really well, so.
I have a question. So why just Historic Park?
Well, we have had a historic park mainly because of the parking, and we can host that many students because we have about 50 to 60 students, so it's kind of a large group. And then there's always projects to keep doing at that park.
Okay.
But we have talked about maybe expanding if we needed 2 sites or a different site. But we work with our park staff to ask them what do they need at the parks? What would be a good project? So far, we haven't run out of projects at the park. And if you go there, we've made some good headway on some of the areas, clearing out ivy, making some trails. So, but it is very convenient as far as the shelter and bathroom. So that's mainly.
I don't think we'll ever run out of ivy,
No, I don't think so.
right?
We work with the Park Foundation and the Lions Club. The Lions Club donates money to the high schools or middle schools that have the most students there. So they can get up to $1,000 as first place to their ASB or $500 for second, and that really gets students out there. They've really grabbed onto it. And Tomar High School is really getting involved with this event now. So we just 2 weeks ago worked with, because of this and Tomar High School getting involved, we met with the principal early in the year, and Brianna Feller, our volunteer coordinator, coordinated with the high school students while it was conference week to get high schoolers back to their elementary schools to help get their garden beds and community gardens at their schools up and going for the year. And we had about 30 to 40 high school students participate in that. That was a great thing. Santa stops. Below there, we do Santa stops in December. We used to have the fire truck go around town. Now we have stops, so like at the fire station, at the golf course, kids can come with their families and get a picture with Santa. And we had the Grinch this year, which was a big hit. So those are ones to get popped. I'm almost going to. You like that transition?
Yes. I need that.
That's a double drop.
That's fancy.
Best I've ever seen.
Next, can we add?
I've been here a while, working for Parks and Rec. One of my favorite things we've done is the Tomar Youth Showcase. And that's, the picture to the left where, we as a city have 2 days that we can use. And, we've been lucky to use those with the arts program, and work with the school. Andrew Lindowski, the Black Hills High School band director, is key to this, working with all the music teachers in the district, coming up with some programs, events for the students to perform on stage at the Washington Performing Arts Center. We have this coming up next week. Marisa just sent you an email today We'd love for you to come out to that, but it's a ticketed event on, Thursday. The day before, they're bringing students to the Performing Arts Center. It's more like kind of they're going to a choir festival where the students are going and singing to each other and kind of learning that way. Not a ticket event, but it's an educational event. But next Thursday is the percussion night. So what I'm really excited is I want to see Tumwater Hill Marimba be on stage, and they're going to be on stage this year, which is amazing. If you ever have seen that, or Heather Stoker, the music teacher at Tumwater Hill, she does an amazing job with kids. They play at our Christmas tree lighting every year. And then we have Black Hills High School and Tumwater High School percussion that's going to be on stage that night. Yeah, come to that, please. Oh, good.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a really great showcase. I mean, we happen to go past kids in the Tumwater School District, but our music program is really fantastic. And I think this is just so exciting that they get to perform at that age at the Washington Center, and they are so excited to do it. And so it's just really wonderful.
I'm glad that we're doing it because it's like a million years ago. I remember going to one at Tumwater High School, and it was one of their regular offerings, and that was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. And then didn't ever see it again. So I'm just amazed that, when I saw that we were doing it, I didn't know we did that. So the fact that we got the center, I think I saw it on our Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I bought tickets already.
Oh,
So I think that's really cool.
Honestly, our percussion through Tumwater schools is awesome. I went and performed over at Black Hills High School with, I believe it was the 6th through 12th grade, and it was awesome. It was a great performance altogether. It was a free event, but it was absolutely. I will try to make it to that for sure.
And the picture up there is our craft concert series that was new last year. We were to offer that down in the craft district. We did one event or one concert per month. This year we're doing 4 weeks in a row in July. So July 9th, 16th, 23rd, and the 30th, they're Thursdays from 6 to 7:30. We just got confirmation on all the bands that we're having. So the first one we're doing is Brian James was here. That's a local Montesano band, really good. The second week is the Winehouse Band, a local band, but really good. And the 23rd is Nico and the Night Shift. They played last year, very popular. And the last one is La Bambu Blue. So
Is that the mariachi band that last
La
year?
Bambu is not the mariachi band,
Okay.
but did you like them? Because I heard they were really good.
I think the community liked them.
Yeah.
I was reading positive and negative comments, but the positives were, more
Yeah.
positive.
Try to rotate different styles, but I did hear a lot of people like the mariachi.
I like the mariachi.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is one of those events, whenever you start a new event, it's hard to know, I think, if we're going to get a lot of people. And this was immediately obvious that the community wanted to make this event because just the very first one right out of the gate was really well attended. So,
Another question, how's the amphitheater coming along? Up yet? When's it gonna be up?
Well, I'm told it's going to be this year, but I don't think so.
I don't know if you talked to something about that. I don't think it's going anywhere right now.
Mm-hmm.
There are some grand plans. If you see the master plan for that, it's incredible what it could be, but I don't think he's at a point where he's ready to invest any more money in that.
Okay, because I'm seeing Craft District Amphitheater here.
Right, so we're doing it on the slope.
Where if there were.
Okay.
Eventually, there'll be more infrastructure.
so right now, we bring in the stage. We bring in that stage, but there's seating.
Our version of the gorge, I get it.
Without the wind.
And ACUs are our sponsor for this event, and they've been great to work with, and they're excited to do the 4 weeks summer again. So, yeah. Anyways, that would be a great one for you guys to come out to. There's really good food around there. Free event. Free event.
Yeah. Family friendly.
Family friendly.
My final question is, so this doesn't seem to be, it doesn't generate revenue for the city. So this is just our residents, taxpayer money at work. Is that fair to say? And if we do generate revenue, it goes to nonprofits that we partner with.
Correct.
I think
Am I
that's,
tracking?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think unlike a lot of parks departments, we really focus on business sponsorship. It takes, so does our sponsor coordinator. It takes a lot of time and attention and creating relationships with local businesses. But we get most of these events are really well funded, like the Crest Concert Series with ACU. They're paying for 90% of the cost of that event. So without charging and without turning anybody away, we're able to offer free events to anybody that wants to come, regardless of really anything.
That's what I noticed, that it's, most of them are,
Yeah,
are free.
that's our goal.
Yeah.
The 4th of July event, we could charge whatever, the fireworks themselves cost $35,000. And that's all sponsored.
That's a good thing. Congratulations.
And, we could charge people to get in, and a lot of people would pay to do that, but it's great to not have to do that.
yeah.
It goes back to the larger discussion about how we're serving in our community and what community looks like and building resilience, right? And hubs to get neighbors out.
Well, and I would maybe argue that there is secondary revenue that comes in because like you have a big volleyball tournament, people need to eat, they need to get gas, they need places to stay. So there's all of these secondary avenues where Tumwater does end up money in the community. So it's win-win.
Like the craft district businesses around there
Yeah.
love it because their restaurants are full. Good. Good.
And we always advertise free event to the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Then I wanted to slide, because I don't want to forget that, that there's a big, our department, a lot of good people working in this department. It takes a team to make all these events happen and programs, and so this is a reminder that it takes a team to pull all these off and do great things working together, and we have a great team. Just want to highlight that. That's not one individual, it's all.
Look for Charlie Schneider, is he up there?
He was, I almost put him in as Grinch because he was our Grinch.
Oh.
And he did a really good job, and the kids like the Grinch more than Santa sometimes.
Okay.
It was very surprising. Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks again for letting me come, and if you have any other questions.
Great update.
Thank you.
Any questions from Joan or Peter before we move on to the home energy score?
So good, no question.
Fantastic. Thank you, Peter. Joan, any questions for staff?
No questions, just brought back a lot of memories of things I've been to over the years. Probably need to go visit and make sure they're going right now.
Quality control, Jim.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you both. You're welcome to stay for the home energy score. Now, Alyssa looks like she wants to see it.
I would like the clicker, please.
Now, good day.
Yeah, I told you. I warned Todd about the number of slides I'm about to subject you all to, and
So we are, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
We are moving on to our home energy score program concept. And so we're going to talk about the home energy score audit and report as a consumer education tool. And Alyssa is going to tell us more about this tool in her slides. The tool aims to reduce both greenhouse gas emissions and the overall cost of homeownership. That's the aim of the tool. Our region has been discussing this tool since at least 2020, and Tumwater has invested budget and staff time since 2024 to explore the potential of requiring such a tool. The tool is mentioned in Tumwater's climate element as a key tool in the toolbox to begin reducing the emissions from existing residential buildings. Just earlier this month, we affirmed our commitment to reducing community-wide greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050. There are people that have positive comments and questions of concern about this concept who live and work in our community. So today I'm asking you to have an open mind about this concept, right? And this is the place to start that discussion with Alyssa and Dan, but what this looks like, the impacts to Tumwater, staff, residents, those who live, work, play, buying, selling, and any unintended consequences. This is the platform to start asking these questions. So we're not going to make any decisions on voting or timelines, right? We're just going to start the process of what that could look like and what Alyssa has been working on. Does that make sense to everybody? So this is the time to ask those questions. Alyssa, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I think everyone knows me by now, but because other people might be watching, I'm Alyssa Jones-Wood, Sustainability Manager here at City of Tumwater. I was also one of 2 project co-leads to develop the Home Energy Score Model Ordinance, which was a regional initiative of the Thurston Climate Mitigation Collaborative. And in a rare turn of events, tonight we actually have every bit of the Thurston Climate Mitigation, every part of the Thurston Climate Mitigation Collaborative present. We have the jurisdiction, which is you all. We have the chair of our executive committee, which is Councilmember Swarthout. We have myself, a staff team member, and we have a COM member, Tim Piper, who is also here tonight. So every branch of the Climate Collaborative that was part of putting this work together is present. The work is done in collaboration. Kim is here in case you have any questions that will stump me related to real estate transactions. She's a COM member and a long-term realtor and broker in our area. So I hand up.
Want to explain the cost acronym?
Yes, sorry.
Don't apologize.
Alphabet soup in my brain. The Community Advisory Work Group. So it's a work group that works with and is part of the Climate Collaborative of Thurston County, Lacey, Olympia, and Tumwater. And this is like the advisory board, the Community Advisory Board arm. Then we have the elected officials, we have the staff, and then we have the jurisdictions who are the ones who actually make the decisions.
A lot of work.
Yes, we meet frequently and do a lot of work because there is a lot of work to do to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I'm going to go through an unfortunate number of slides, but I want to make sure that everyone understands what it is and why it's important and different perspectives in the community about it, offer some clarification, some correction, so on and so forth. So first I'll go why, then what, how, and next steps. And it's a little, this works in my brain to telling you the why before I tell you what the what is, but I passed around, or there is a home energy score report that is really the what, but I'll get more into the nitty gritty of what it is here. So the big whys are existing residential emissions, existing planning documents here at the city, and affordable housing. So the first part that I really want to make sure you all take home is that existing residential emissions are a very large part of the pie of our emissions for Thurston County. We have 2 very big sectors, which make up about 71% of our emissions. Built environment is the second largest, and residential energy in existing homes that are here today, not future homes, not homes built in the future to wonderful Washington Energy Code, homes that exist today are the biggest part of that built environment. Like the mayor said, you all just recently approved or adopted a resolution to become net zero by 2050. So chasing the largest or second largest chunk and the largest chunk within it is something that's very important, and we need to address those emissions. Otherwise, we will never meet those goals. Second is that we've been planning for this for a great number of years. Before I became a Washingtonian, the community was talking about this and having meetings and conversations, mostly led by the Thurston Climate Action Team. I wasn't there for that, but I received whatever notes they had, and that has been incorporated and folded into the work that the Climate Collaborative has brought forward. Since at least 2021, we've had home energy score or references to it, such as energy performance ratings and disclosures for homes at time of sale, lease, or rent in our planning documents that are either accepted or adopted by the city. So it's hopefully not a surprise that we're having this conversation because it has been explicitly mentioned in our climate element, which was adopted in December of last year. And without saying exactly the product of the rating score was included in the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. And I'll say that there was community engagement to make sure that we were choosing the right scoring methodology, which is why it's more vague in the older documents and more specific in the more recent documents. Home energy score plans to reduce emissions and to keep in touch with our adopted plans, but it also intends to support affordable housing. because the state's definition of affordable housing includes the cost of utilities. Energy costs are estimated to be the second highest cost of owning a home. It's obviously your mortgage payment first, then your energy costs, then your taxes and insurance and other aspects that are part of keeping a home. Having this information upfront allows a buyer to have transparency in cost so that they can really, if they know that they're going to be, I guess the term these days is house poor, but they really want to get into the market and they only have so much for their energy bill, this makes it so that they can know that going in and they can make a decision that they can truly afford, which is part of the total cost of homeownership, includes the utility costs. Also, having a home energy score or a similar product means that you have access to a special loan product from the Washington Housing Corporation, I think is what it's called. The loan is called Energy Spark Loans, where you actually get a discounted rate for your mortgage, 0.25% discount if you have one of these reports when you apply for the mortgage, and you can roll in the costs for improvements if you choose to do them into that as well. There's also Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae energy-related loans, but you have to have some sort of report in order to qualify for those loans. So it's really helpful to have that up front because then you can bring that while you're going through your financing steps of purchasing a property.
So if somebody wanted, they wanted to do a heat pump on their purchasing their home, they'd be able to perhaps get a Spark loan and get the money.
If they had a approved energy audit, there's a number of different options. Home Energy Score is the least expensive of the options. Yes, then they would be able to bring that and wrap that into their financing. Also, there is a study. This is still somewhat of a new concept. It's been around for 14 years now, but academics like things to sit around for a while before they really truly study them. In 2022, there was a study that showed that a higher home energy score rating also resulted in a lower mortgage default rate. So that it keeps people in their homes, makes it so that they can afford the homes, that they know that they can afford the homes, and helps them make it so that their home can be more efficient if they want to wrap in those improvements, which is up to them, not something that we're...
Clarify though on that too, they have to have a higher HES rating.
For the Energy Spark loan?
Correct.
No, they just have to have a report. They could have the lowest rating possible, but they have to have...
They can still qualify.
Yep, they just need to have investigated the home efficiency in order to have a loan that's associated with having home efficiency. So Home Energy Score was developed by the U.S. Department of Energy and its national labs. It launched in 2012. It's a standardized assessment based for energy-related assets. It takes about 1 hour to complete, and the average cost, or the range of cost, is $150 to $350 to do the audit, which goes to an independent contractor who is certified and accredited to do that. This has nothing to do with the county assessor's office. This is a private industry auditor similar to a home inspection, but a different training and different focus, and they go through a Department of Energy program and mentoring in order to be qualified to do this work.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the Realtors Association came and speak to us. So what was the issue that they had with this?
I have at least 8 slides exactly on that.
You're gonna...
Yes, point by point.
I have a question about the auditors. So it's the cost is right now between $150 and $300. So if this becomes like a requirement countywide or statewide, how do we make sure that those costs don't rise? Because then it's private industry. Like I can charge whatever I want.
The free market.
Yeah.
We can try to figure out ways to control that, but it hasn't been part of the conversation yet.
Okay.
Everywhere where this has been a mandatory program, the prices remain consistent. So it seems like there's a natural break in the price. However, the $350 that's just one program, and that's in the Bay Area of California, where they have a voluntary program that spans 9 counties. So most of that is actually travel expense, and the audit is still around the same range.
Okay.
So these prices, the 150 to 350, they're nationwide, correct?
Yes.
No. That's nothing specific to like Pacific Northwest.
Well,
It's already what the third highest cost of living state of the nation. So I'm thinking we're going to be towards the top portion of that price.
we may. It's a market thing. Yep. But Oregon has a great number of these programs, and the Multnomah County area has a number of jurisdictions that have it, and it's like 110, 125 is the average cost to this day.
I have one more follow-up about that. When entities have stood this up,
Has there been a vacuum or a gap in getting certified folks to meet the need? No, the demand creates the supply. But if there is no demand.
Special, long, expensive training where it's hard to get people in a pipeline to do it.
Nope, and we've actually already been in conversation with Pacific Mountain Workforce. They provided a letter of support a year or two ago for a grant proposal to the federal government to help us with this. We didn't get the proposal, but we've had conversations. They're interested in it, especially for retraining workers that are coming from fossil fuel industries, or for existing building inspectors. That job classification is in decline. So this would allow them to add another service to help bolster their business. Okay. Now I get to skip that slide later. In terms of the what, I'll explain the home energy score, the assessors, which we've had some conversation about so far, and the home energy score assessment report. So this is the first page of all the packet or handout that I gave you. A home energy score rates energy efficiency for a home on a scale of 1 to 10. Think of it kind of like a miles per gallon or a nutrition label or an Energy Star. It'll show you where you are today and where you could be with improvements that it identifies that are all cost effective. It is based on more than 50 different data inputs that's put into a Department of Energy model that produces a standardized report that's really restricted on what we can do to change that. There are opportunities, but it's normally to add information. Most jurisdictions, I gave you the standard report. That's like 6 pages. Most jurisdictions bring it to up front and back. There's a lot of extra white space on there, so they design it in such a way. But it's very similar to what you already see when before you're making purchases of other things that cost a lot of money, like appliances and vehicles, where you get to see the efficiency and the estimated cost in order to operate those things that you may be investing lots of money in. I've tried to get a food metaphor, and the best thing I could do here is greenhouse gases being like a widespread vitamin D deficiency, and having nutrition labels helps you know how you can move forward with reducing vitamin D deficiency. I had a golden rice thing. It was going to take too long. Food allergy dinner party thing. I'm not bringing that either, but an example of consumer information so that you can make better decisions for your health, your safety, your budget, whatever it is that's important to you. Or it could be climate. Who knows? So the home energy score model focuses on assets. So it's an apples to apples comparison tool that looks at those things inside the bottom box of this pyramid. So it's looking at your hot water heater, your insulation, your windows and skylights, foundation, your local climate. That's all part of what goes into the model to provide you with your 1 to 10 score. And I brought my home inspection because when we were working on this, I was going through being a first-time home buyer in Tumwater. And I was looking through my home inspection this morning to see what information I had about insulation, because this will tell you your R value. Mine just said there's missing insulation somewhere. That was it. I haven't fixed my insulation because I don't know where or what it is or any information. But if I had a home energy score, I would know that there's missing insulation. It's this R value, and I can have a cost-effective improvement to my home that could add value to my home potentially with that information. So it is a nice add-on. So certified home energy score assessor, we estimate that we will need 6 to 8 full-time home energy score assessors to meet demands if all 4 jurisdictions involved in crafting this adopt. Home assessors, HES assessors, I'm going to use HES because home energy score is very long, are not associated with the property appraiser's office. They are not assessors from the county. They are a private sector person who gets trained to do this. There are the steps to become a HES assessor. You need to hold a relevant credential. When I first started this work, I held one. I could have taken the simulation and I could have gotten the certification. Lead Green Associate isn't so useful out here in the wonderful Washington Energy Code, so I let that lapse. I can't do it anymore, but it's not that hard. You don't have to have a 4-year degree. You just need to have a relevant credential and then go through the process. You need to work with a home energy score partner or mentor, which the jurisdictions would help provide that should this move forward. You would complete the simulation, training, and test. You would score your first home with a mentor, and you would start scoring homes, and you would have to keep scoring homes every 6 months or go through the process to become recertified again, especially if there's been anything that changes in the model. They go through continuing education. It's a low barrier to entry. Don't think that there's actually any cost associated with it because the simulation is provided by DOE, and our plan at this point is for the jurisdictions to help the mentoring process for the 6 to 8 that we'll need. So
And, and Pack Mountain would be, the lead for that, right? They would be the ones doing the training.
No, so you have to be a home energy score assessor to provide the training. So if they went through the process and became trained, then yes, they could. But we've already gotten interest from, in terms of people that want to get certified. Olympia Community Solar staff, Habitat for Humanity staff, they have expressed interest in getting this so that they can also provide these to their customers as well, in addition to homes that are listed for sale or anything like that. So there's an appetite among local existing nonprofits, and there was some conversation in the focus groups that we had, which I'll get into more, from building inspectors being like, ooh, I can add this as a service.
So the training and everything already exists?
Yeah.
So, and the curriculum and everything already exists, this type of, so there doesn't have to be an advisory board or anything, this has already been set?
It's a national program.
It's a national program.
Yep.
Got it, okay.
So I'll go into that fun 6-page piece of paper that I gave you. Every home energy score report has the score on the 1 to 10. It has estimated energy use by fuel and estimated energy cost by fuel for a year. It also has recommendations, all of which have a 10-year simple payback. Normally, those are separated into repair now and replace later, and they have an estimated savings for each particular item on an annual basis in there as well. Other content can be added by jurisdictions, and I have one example that I'll show you on the slide after we go through the handouts here. So this is the first page. It shows the score today. I don't know if I have a score today. Average home score, that's for your climate, and a score with improvements with your estimated savings, annual savings, if you do the things that they suggest. Doing the things that are suggested on the report is not required. It's just information, because often when we know better, we do better. If I knew what I needed to do for my installation, I would do better. So then the second page, and actually a couple pages, are these home facts. A lot of this is information that you already get when you're looking at a home, but then there are other things like energy use per square foot and the energy use by type energy cost. That's new information. This is the exciting one for me because I'm apparently very excited about insulation R values. It goes into everything, like your attic floor insulation, what the R value is of your roof, so on and so forth. And it goes into all of that information and gives you more specifics than you would generally get, or at least what I have gotten on a home inspection report. There are many pages of this that go into all the equipment in the home, what its efficiency is. So mine says, you have a furnace, it's this brand. We think it's this old. Talk to a professional HVAC person about it. This will tell you it's this kind, it has this efficiency, it's this many years left. Then the last page is the recommended improvements. Here for the standard DOE one, if it has a star, it's going to pay back in 10 years, but it shows the repair now and replace later with the estimated cost savings per year for doing these things. They are not suggesting things that won't pan out for you financially, only things that will be reasonable to actually help. It's not trying to sell any particular service that won't help you, only things that actually will.
Melissa, can you go back to roof attic?
Yes.
So it says, roof construction, R-0, and then you go down to attic floor insulation, R-9, and then we're looking at roof attic 2, R-7. What are those R's?
The R's are the insulation value. Normally a higher number, if I'm not mistaken, is more insulation, better insulation. A lower value is less.
Carry on. Thank you.
Here is an example of some customized reports that are much more visually pleasing than the standard DOE report. This one here is from the Bay Area of California, where they have QR codes for information on rebates and tax credits and incentive information. So you get to learn what your house could benefit from, how much it can save you money, exactly when, if it's a replace later or repair now, and how you can get connected to ways that can help you pay for it. They also have some more specific information here, like right now the attic is R11. They're saying it'd be best to go to R44 or higher, so on and so forth. Special efficiencies for the heat pumps that they're recommending. Same thing here for Hillsboro, Oregon. They have information that you can go to and suggesting that, for instance, you get more than one bid for improvements. And this is all information that we could provide. Should we decide to have a regional template for this, we could connect to Energize Thurston, to PSC programs, to weatherization, to all the ways that we can help people get connected. to the improvements that they could make to their home. Yeah. So the how. We have been on this path for some time. Kim has been with us almost the entire time along this journey. So prior to me being here and escaping the sun trying to kill me, in 2018 to 2021, I'm from Florida, if no one knew. The climate mitigation plan was being drafted and approved. It was accepted by City Council and Tumwater City Council in 2021. Then in 2023, it was what TCMC is Thurston Climate Mitigation Collaborative. I just have so many acronyms and so many long things. So TCMC Regional Initiative Selection. There was a big process to rework the way that we did regional climate work, and one of the things was suggested by Commissioner Ty Menser. How about we commit to at least working on one thing together each year, preferably something that would be politically difficult for us to do by ourselves. This was selected as the first regional initiative for the jurisdictions to work on developing themselves, with the intention of having solidarity of all 4 jurisdictions to do this hard, but still kind of baby steps in the direction of reducing our emissions. Then in March 2024, the City Council approved the Mayor of Tumwater to sign an interlocal agreement to draft the Home Energy Score Model Ordinance and consider adoption. Considering adoption was the last step of this interlocal agreement scope of work. Then in 2024, we really started to work on the policy research and stakeholder engagement as the Climate Collaborative. We did that through working with our community advisory group, of which Kim is part of, our executive committee, of which Councilmember Swarthout is part of. We put out newsletters in the Tumwater One Water newsletter to tell people, hey, we're working on this. Do you want to give us some input? We also hired a consultant collaboratively through the 4 jurisdictions and paid for a professional consultant to facilitate focus groups. In those focus groups, we recruited real estate and home financing professionals, builders and contractors, energy service providers and program managers, low-income service providers, affordable housing nonprofits, code enforcement staff, and we had conversations. We actually built the focus groups in such a way that we had money for 6 and we organized 5 or 4. I think we ended up with 4 because we got it all squished together. And with the intention of the last one being for people that were identified by participants that we didn't know needed to be at the table. We didn't end up having anyone suggested through the other focus groups that were missing from the table, so we didn't hold that last focus group, but we did include all of these groups through the recruitment and participation. Then in 2025, January 2025, we had gone through the research, we had gone through the stakeholder engagement, we had drafted an ordinance, done some edits on the ordinance back and forth based on the feedback that we got. And then the executive committee recommended approval of the model ordinance to go towards the jurisdictions for consideration. Then between 2025 and 2026, City of Olympia and Thurston County held work sessions. We adopted our climate element of our comprehensive plan, which includes specifically home energy score and the draft implementation actions. Board of County Commissioners asked county staff, please do more outreach in South County. We did that. We also held a special listening session with the Thurston County Realtors Association, of which I'll speak a little bit more about later. I know we have staff from there today. I want to make sure I'm representing exactly what we did exactly correctly. So that additional outreach happened, and now we're at the point where it's a big question mark. Do we consider adoption? Do we move forward? I know we're not making that decision tonight, but there is a question mark there. And I have a lot of things on my work plan, so I'd like to know as soon as I can. So the proposed home energy score ordinance, which we didn't purposely to talk about this on a higher level, the ordinance wasn't included in your packet tonight, but the intention of it as written so far is to require a home energy score assessment be completed and publicly disclosed when a home is listed for sale. That's so that it works with the mortgage timeline so people can make those decisions. That seems to be the best time. Also, generally, people do more home improvements within the first 2 years of buying a home. So having a trigger that's related to the transaction is helpful. We were told, actually, my predecessors, before I was here, down the telephone grapevine told me that it was very strongly that people wanted it to be time of listing. So we have not budged from that moving forward. Yes.
How long is the especially good for? So say I sell my house today, right? Can they use it in 20 years from now?
Not 20. The way that it's written right now is 8, but we've heard some feedback from our listening session with the Realtors Association that perhaps 10 is a more appropriate number. Unless, of course, someone makes some improvement to the home in which you'd probably want to do it again and get a better score. But it's good for 8 years currently in the way that it's written, up to 10 potentially there's still wiggle room. We want to work on this together in community. But if you like got a new heat pump, we would need you to do a new score when you're trying to list your home again, not immediately after, the way that it's written now. This ordinance does not require any energy upgrades to be made. It's a market tool. We've seen that generally there's a 10 times greater likelihood that people with a home energy score report will make improvements. So it's not that it's just going into the void, but we aren't requiring, but when you know better, you do better. Some specific sections of the ordinance, subject buildings. The buildings that the home energy score can be used on, the model can be applicable to, are single-family detached dwellings, duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, cottage housing, townhomes, and attached ADUs. This does not include manufactured homes and stacked multifamily. I will get to that in my next slide, I promise.
So no apartments.
No apartments at this time because the model can't be applied to that.
And not detached ADUs?
Yes. It needs to be under the same roof to be scored. Someone could get an additional one for a detached ADU and have the home one and report both if they want to. Yeah. New construction, we worked with Olympia Master Builders on this. They may generate a home energy score for design specifications. So if it's like a Rob Rice and they're building homes all the time and there's a handful of different models, they can get one for each model. If they're built identical and they have all the same equipment, they can use that for all the homes that are built in that same design. Exemptions, we can't tell tribes and the federal government what to do on their land, so they are exempt, or at least I'm not comfortable doing that. Transfer of real property per RCW 64.06.010, which includes things like foreclosures and short sales, and cases of undue hardship for the seller, which is at the discretion of the director, the way that it's written now. And then subsidies, there's a section that jurisdictions must fully subsidize home energy score for low-income households or exempt them if no funding is available. Don't worry, I have a whole slide on that too. Subject buildings does not include stacked multifamily or manufactured homes because the model can't be applied now, but this is an email from last week that said they're maybe going to have this ready by the middle of this year. They also told me that in 2024, so I'll believe it when I see it, but they continue apparently at the federal level to keep working towards filling this gap because these are still folks and homes that deserve to know the efficiency of what they're getting into as well.
So would that apply to each unit, rental unit, or would it apply to the building as a whole, the building is being sold?
The units. So the purpose of the time of listing is to provide that reliable, standardized information about a home's estimated energy use, to enable buyers to compare homes, to allow access to the Energy Spark loan and other loan products, and to not slow down the real estate transaction. That's the reason for, that's the benefits of doing it at time of listing. Like if you went to, you bought a car and you didn't realize it was going to be like 4 miles per gallon until you got it. It's nice to know that information up front. There's not always a return policy. I get this question a lot, so I wanted to make sure there was a slide about that. But can't I just ask for the PSC bills? The PSC will only give the bills to the person who actually owns the account. And my experience is that that information doesn't always come very quickly, especially if you're moving in a very fast-moving transaction. Also, the bills are based on occupancy. You don't get any information about like what the insulation is contributing to that, or what the HVAC is contributing to that, or improvements that you could make to improve that. There's no suggestions. It's just you could pay this much. Is that information useful for prospective buyers if they don't have a home energy score? Yes, but home energy score is better.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So if I make the improvements, do I have to pay another $350 for another inspection?
Only if you're trying to sell your house, and only if you want the score to be better for the purpose of listing your home for sale. And it's worth noting that just today, out of curiosity, I decided to reach out to Puget Sound Energy because we've received some comments that were like, can I just ask for this from PSC? Can't they do an audit? When we engaged them in 2024, they said they had no intention of bringing back an audit program. Today, I just decided to check, and they are. But they specifically told me that it's not as robust as the home energy score. They only have committed funding to it for a year and a half. The people who are doing it aren't required to have any particular training. It will be available for free. They will be connecting you with PSC incentives. So that does throw a little wrench in the benefits. But the way that I'm choosing to look at this is we've worked really hard on this program. In my wildest dreams, it'll move, and it'll take DOE some time to come up with the manufactured homes. This would be the way to make sure that manufactured homes can have some sort of benefit while we wait for Department of Energy to really get them on the same footing. Because the PSC program that will be launched sometime this year will apply to manufactured homes.
They're probably looking at appliances, so if you have Energy Star appliances or
They've,
heat pumps.
speaking with PSC today, they're actually, the impetus for this program is their demand. So they want people to sign up for the Flex program.
Oh, you can't?
Well, no, because you don't have
And
an electro.
Right, because I was on that program, and then I got solar panels, and now I have no longer.
I'm serious.
And their plan over the next year and a half is to do a total of 10,000 for the entire state service area, 5,000 of which are reserved for people in their named communities, of which Tumwater is not. So the audit does take some money because we're paying a professional to provide a professional service. However, did you know that in our approved budget, we've already allocated the subsidy money? Because we have. It's already,
I saw that.
it's a line item already from 2025 and in 2026 at the same rate that City of Portland, who also has an ordinance like this, what they have been saving. So we probably won't need that much, but we wanted to have enough to, should it be adopted, to have this ready to go. So Tumwater has already put funding towards having the subsidization for income qualified sellers in this program.
Future, if we could get Troy to reference the page in their new budget books that they got, that would be great.
I can tell you it's in the general fund sustainability, professional services section. So there are pros and cons to this robust program and doing it in one way or another. This model ordinance that the Climate Collaborative worked on seeks a mandatory program because that's how we're going to get the greatest results. And I'll show you that in another slide. Voluntary programs do exist, and there are many voluntary programs for home energy scores throughout the country. Technically, we have a voluntary program in Tumwater right now because you can do it if you can get an assessor. But there hasn't been a demand for the assessors until there is an actual demand for the work. Generally, for voluntary programs, you get less people participating, and you have to spend a lot more to encourage people to participate, and generally larger subsidies. So it will cost more to the city to do a voluntary program, but that is a feasible path forward. A mandatory program will have better results for greenhouse gas emissions and more people that can have that information to make better decisions for themselves. This is a different chart than what's in your packet because Dan thought this would be a good idea. So I listened to my boss and put it together. These numbers are based on available studies for actual uptake rates of voluntary programs for home energy score or for home energy audits in the United States. There are higher rates for voluntary uptick in Europe, but we're not Europe. So you can estimate in Europe up to 13%, but in the United States, it's 0.05 to 1.5% of voluntary actual participation. Meanwhile, the way that we've designed the mandatory program, which would directly link with Northwest MLS and wouldn't let someone list their home for sale until they put that information in, is estimated to cover 90 to 95% of the homes listed for sale in our area. So much more benefit and many more homes that would be part of that. Just want to remind you all of the goal, and voluntary at the rates at which studies are showing us would get us 2 metric tons of carbon dioxide reduced per year versus 173. Is 173 still not that much compared to the entire carbon emissions of our county? Yes, but that's year 1 and it would keep going. Questions on this?
This is, again, nationwide, correct?
Yes, this is based on nationwide data. This is nationwide data with specific data to Thurston County home sales, average median value of home sales, which in the memo is using data from 2020 to 2023. This one I've updated with more up-to-date information that I was able to get from the same sources, but updated information.
And it just seems like in the specifically Pacific Northwest, we definitely care more about our environment. We're definitely aware, eco-friendly compared to a lot of other places across the nation. So I wonder what those numbers would actually look like for specifically. I get it's kind of hard to show us exactly that kind of a data, but I would think that there would be a possibility of more people jumping on and going,
Yeah.
oh, hey, yeah, I would be interested in this.
For instance, homes retrofitted, this is based on Portland's experience of how many people, actually the state of Oregon's experience of how many people, once they get this, actually move forward with rebates, because Oregon has a statewide program run through their Energy Trust, and that's who gives out the rebates and incentives, so they have a really good way of tracking. They don't have to ask a private utility, how many incentives have you gotten? They have that information immediately, and they can tie that to the reports, which they get copies of. Was this from something in the report, and did they get a rebate? And they have a better way of tracking that. So this is based on Pacific Northwest, and the rest of this is based on data that's specific to us here in Thurston County. Also, these numbers are for Thurston County as a whole, not for Tumwater specifically. So this would be 2 metric tons divided by however many jurisdictions work on this. My next slide goes into the costs, which we already have also funding and budget set aside for these with our interlocal agreement with the Thurston Climate Mitigation Collaborative. So this wouldn't be new money that we weren't expecting to spend. This is money that we have been expecting to spend. The difference between the startup and first year cost for voluntary and mandatory is the cost to mentor additional assessors that we would need, because if you look here, we would only be creating 1 job with a voluntary program, 8 jobs with the mandatory program. So we would have to spend more to make sure that they're mentors. It's about $250 a person at the rate that we've been quoted now. I do not have advertising marketing budget wrapped into this because I don't know how much we'd be willing to spend. So here it's ongoing after the first year, $20,000 per year. Again, that would be split between the number of jurisdictions who adopt this. If it is all 4, not a whole lot of money. And then I broke it down by dollar per carbon dioxide, ton of carbon dioxide equivalent. For a voluntary program, ongoing years, we'd be spending $10,000 per estimated ton of carbon avoided.
Alyssa, if you could just take one breath for me.
Yeah.
And Peter has his hand.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole purpose of the home energy score is to also have a uniform energy score, so that both newer and older buildings, when one goes to sell them, we have this uniform standard, right?
Yes, it's a standardized score.
Okay, so in the past 12 months, PSE have jacked up the prices, so it makes you wonder whether if you have any energy, any appliances that save energy, if that is actually doing what were that purported to do in the first place, which is if you buy these appliances, it will save you this amount of money in going forward. But that's not exactly what is happening right now. And I can say for myself, I have several appliances that I bought for that same purpose. And my home is, what, 2009? My bill has gone up from about, it's gone to about almost $250, and nothing changed. So I don't know how you speak to that.
The rates are governed by the Utilities and Transportation Commission, and the rates have been recently approved to go up. So the amount of money that you spend, that is something that's regulated outside of the city. However, the amount of energy that you use, that is then calculated in the model with the average rate, or we can give it the specific rate for PSC. It would still estimate the energy cost to give you that information. But yes, the energy rates are going up.
So at the end of the day, if you tell somebody, well, if you do this and if you do X, Y, Z, and you have this home energy score, you're going to recruit this, or you're going to have this. That's not necessarily true going forward, because the source of the energy, which you will have at least saved cost from, is no longer what is happening now.
We can make it a requirement to do this more frequently along the schedule of when the UTC does utility rates. If you would like to suggest that,
It's apples to oranges. Yeah, it's not comparing the same
Yeah.
thing. It's only at the point of sale, and so that's the deal, it's the point of sale.
point of listing. And if the home energy score is 8 years old by the time that you look at the score again, maybe you'll want to, as a buyer, do an additional one, because they're really skating by the requirements of the way that it's written now.
Technology advances, everything changes here.
Yeah, but they do put up-to-date utility rates as part of the model. And we can they can either take those from national standards or regional standards as reported by some federal agency, or we could connect them to specifically, this is the rate that we get right now.
But irregardless of if we implement this, it does, utility rates are gonna go up no matter what. I mean, it has nothing to do with this, putting this in play. Utility rates increase.
Yep.
So,
When
Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
A little late last,
okay.
someone took a breath again. Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
For instance, when I first moved to Tumwater, I lived in an apartment on Tumwater Hill that was basically the same square footage that I live in now. I purchased a home. My bill then, which was a couple of years ago, was like $120. I just got mine today. It's almost $400 in my home. Things that are different is the mechanical equipment, shared walls, level of insulation. Those are things that do make a difference. We still have the same number of things that we're plugging into the house, but also we have a different rate because it's a different time period as well. So all those things get taken into consideration. But really what I wanted to note here is that if we go the voluntary route, we will have way less cost efficiency in terms of taxpayer dollars spent for greenhouse gas emissions reduced versus the mandatory, which would be significantly less. It would be, if we split this in 4 with a dreamy world in which all 4 jurisdictions adopt, this would be about $29 per ton that city would pay, which is significantly lower than the social cost of carbon. I'll point that out. So as the mayor stated when we first set this up, there are people who support this, there are people who challenge it, there are people who want us to pause, all sorts of feelings, and I'm going to get into all of them because I have a captive audience. And I want to make sure that everyone has all of the information as you continue to have this conversation. Multiple community members have made public testimony in favor of this, including when it wasn't on an agenda. You all have seen them. We received today a formal statement in support from Thurston Lewis Mason Central Labor Council. You all approved time for me to spend on this in my sustainability work plan. And I'll just remind us all again that the TCMC ILA did include the last step of the scope to consider adoption. The Thurston County Realtors Association has formally asked for the work on home energy score to pause. I know Karen in particular, these are the things that you've told me to share with the public about enforcement concerns and wishing that the state would do this first. Truthfully, that would be easier. And feel free, city attorney, to clarify any of those. But and we have an undetermined issue with real estate excise tax, an RCW that could challenge this that we haven't had the time to look into yet. Now I have 7 slides on.
Go back to that slide for me, please.
Yes.
Karen, can you talk to your concerns about enforcement? No, sorry. It just says up there that
there are many homes that are sold and listed for sale and only so many codes.
And then was told, here, can you use the microphone so those on the I was asked to do internal legal. We're happy to talk to you about
Perfect.
the draft as it currently drafted.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And I don't mean to be portraying this as if this is a perfect polished work product. If it was, we wouldn't be having discussion about it first necessarily, or this robust, you wouldn't have 7 slides coming about concerns and
Well, and that's something I remember at a meeting prior administration, someone came to speak about this, and I maybe approved the consent agenda that where the mayor had signed, but that was literally the first that I'd heard of it as a city council member. So that made me feel ill-informed and also a little bit caught off guard. So I appreciate all your slides because now I'm like, okay, now, I mean, I've looked into it since, but I just remember that meeting when we had someone give public comment. I'm like, why have, they are assuming that I know, and I have no idea.
I would have loved the opportunity to come to you earlier. Thank you.
And like, I think regionally, the conversation was structured solely around an ordinance, right? And as Karen noted, there's some challenges with how the ordinance was drafted, is it meet regional, local expectations and regional expectations, that language in and of itself there, right? One of those obviously is enforcement, right? How well do we define what enforcement looks like, who's doing it, how does it work, right? So, but I think the meat of what really wanting you to hear, and when you think about ordinance, really what is an ordinance? Ordinance implements a program, right? And so what are the concepts around the program? What are the kind of the mechanisms that the program can support? How can it be done is kind of more the meat of it. And then if there is, consensus around moving forward with an ordinance or with an ordinance or some implementing mechanism, that's where we can then work again to figure out what does that mechanism for implementation look like, right? But wanting you to make sure that you understood what the overall program would look like and what it achieves.
Yeah.
Angela, and then Megan?
No, I'm just, the main, yes, the main, I don't want to say negative, but the main challenge the group is the Thurston County Realtors Association. They're the ones that kind of have contention with this.
And they're in the room.
Reading. Okay, and this is countywide, not statewide.
Correct.
Countywide.
There were 3 different sessions in which there was a bill introduced to create a home energy score as the standard should there be a program for the state, and it died.
Okay, so Thurston County is saying we're trying to move ahead with this. Hence
They had the public hearing on the 17th.
Okay, thank you.
But unlike other ordinances or other county, efforts with their Board of County Health, county implemented, it doesn't affect county-wide. Each jurisdiction would also have to do something.
What I heard was that the draft model ordinance was not developed by us. I'm curious if it was developed in Washington.
It was developed by me and my counterpart in City of Lacey, but it was done through a regional work group, not through the normal way of doing things with Brad's team, so on and so forth. So it was a different process, unless you would like to clarify that further.
Yeah. So really the task was given back to the work group, the regional work group, was to develop a draft model ordinance, right? So come up with something that can then be, delivered to the jurisdictions for their own review and assessment. And that, it's like through that process where, it was like, okay, there's work to be done on an internal basis for Tumwater, and other jurisdictions, consider that same draft. And so I don't think we've gotten formally to a point where looking at regional consistency, do we have a regionally consistent, acceptable ordinance language? And so we're not there yet.
And however, I'm seeing the final statement in support from the Thurston Lewis Mason Central Labor Council. Would Lewis and Mason County be involved with this, or am I just thinking too far ahead?
They haven't.
Not city council.
Would likely be doing the repair work on the houses to upgrade them, so it's probably the workers union that's been supportive of this to help encourage more.
Not the council, not their council adopting this. All right. Yeah. Second. Thank you.
How many states have adopted like a statewide requirement of this, and then how many cities or counties in Washington have adopted?
Here in Washington, there is an extensive table in the staff report that goes into if they're voluntary, if they're mandatory. I have additional tables in the policy memo about their enforcement fines, so on and so forth. So the Thurston County Realtors Association provided a full statement, and I wanted to go point by point in the ways in which I do have responses, and then there are certainly some that I don't have responses for yet that have identified additional work that we need to do. In the interest of not reading all of these words, do you all have a preference for me to just read the responses or leave these up for a moment for you to test your vision? I can do this however you would prefer, and of course you'll have the presentation afterwards if you want. When I practice presented, I only did the responses, but I also realized that that's my side of the story. So
if you could go with the concerns expressed and the responses.
Okay. Home energy score concern is home energy score will disproportionately impact older homes and lower income households. Response, there is no evidence that lower income households systematically receive lower home energy scores. Home energy score may devalue older homes if they are less efficient than new ones, but devaluation is subjective to the buyer who considers many factors to determine the value of the home. Number 2, concern, risks reducing marketability or sales proceeds without clear consumer benefit. Response 2, available evidence indicates that low ratings do not hurt the sale of inefficient homes. And to the counter, high rates do actually improve the sales price of high rating homes. So it doesn't hurt, but it helps. 3, standalone home energy score inspections duplicate existing home inspection process. Home energy score is not the same as a home inspection and is not performed by the county assessor's office. We got that question as well. No clarity on cost of home energy score assessments. Costs are consistently between $150 and $350. Concern, there is no clarity on quantity, availability, or qualifications of home energy score assessors. Staff has been clear and consistent about the number of assessors needed to launch a mandatory program and the process in which to get certified. In other jurisdictions with these ordinances, the market for these jobs responded quickly. There was no instance in which there was an ordinance passed and they were scrambling to find people to do the work. The market responded in every single instance.
And just for along that line, if an ordinance was to be developed for Pat, there's a year of implementation, which training would be taking place
Yes.
to make sure that that market response is there.
Which would be supported by the Thursday Climate Mitigation Collaborative, and if Pac Mountain wanted to be part of that, by all means as well. A concern, no clarity on timelines, transaction delays, or enforcement. Timelines of adoption are up to the jurisdictions. The average wait time for an assessment is about 3 days. Enforcement strategies and penalties are up to the jurisdiction. And I also want to note that Bend, Oregon also has one of these, and they actually created an exemption if a home energy score assessment is not available in a reasonable time frame. That's something that we could add to and have at the discretion of a director. However, that hasn't been a problem, but it doesn't hurt to have some additional language to anticipate situations that may occur. 2, no clear mechanism on home energy score oversight or enforceability. The idea of having it connected with the Northwest MLS as part of the listing process was actually an idea from Northwest MLS when I presented this to them, and they're like, oh, well, we've already done that with Island County for sound disclosure and another jurisdiction with sound disclosure, but their ordinances were different. Please don't do that to us. Just give us this and tell us that it's a violation. We'll create a form. We have a part of our Northwest MLS, the way that listings are put in. This was their idea. It 90 to 95% of sales go through Northwest MLS, so this is very helpful, kind of a red tape enforcement of you can't do it until you put it in. And the national service providers that work with Department of Energy to make sure that there's appropriate quality assurance, quality control for these scores, because there is a required QA/QC aspect. They have API, I don't know what that acronym actually stands for, but they could input it in so no one could like fib the score to move past. It would actually input from there to keep it honest and make it easy. That is an option. A concern, low income and private sales are exempt from the ordinance, even though they are equal, if not greater, contributors to carbon emissions. People with lower incomes do not contribute greater carbon emissions than higher income folks. The inverse is actually true and supported by peer-reviewed science and research. For sale by owner and low-income households are not exempt from the model ordinance. Sales included in RCW 64.06.010 are exempt. Portland has not seen an increase in sale by owner and private sales due to home energy score. Their program has been in place since 2018. And I apologize, a lot of these examples are Portland because they're the jurisdiction nearest to us who have had a program for a long time, who have had the budget and the staffing to analyze their results. So I know we're not Portland at all.
Don't apologize.
But that's where I was able to find data. Concerned here, the ordinance requires scoring, not improvements. That is correct. However, the Energy Trust of Oregon recently assessed improvement rates for scored homes and found that 8.8% of homes scored received energy efficiency rebates primarily for the measures recommended in their inspection report. The Energy Trust of Oregon found that rebates were 10 times higher for homes, 10 times more likely for homes that received ATS reports compared to unscored homes. So while we're not requiring improvements, they generally, at least 10% going rate so far, happen because people have access to the information. Hence why I haven't done my installation yet. I don't have the information. Another concern, no evidence that mandatory disclosure alone meaningfully reduces emissions. Just want to point out meaningfully is a subjective term, so we all probably have different ways of defining exactly what that is. We are in a climate crisis, and analysis has shown that this policy is poised to reduce emissions from one of our highest emitting sectors in Thurston County, which I think is worth it. Concerned voluntary and incentive-based programs may achieve greater impact. A 2025 report from ACEEE, it's not Tripoli, typo, summarizes research on the impact of voluntary energy rating programs, finding very low participation, rating from 0.5 to 13% of homes participating. Again, the 13 is in Europe. It was 0.5 to 1.5 in the United States. Voluntary programs are much more expensive for jurisdictions to administer because they require substantial incentives, subsidies, and marketing to drive demand. A concern, sorry, I know it's a lot of slides and a lot of words.
Don't apologize.
Okay, sorry, I'm very bad at that. Concern, appraisers and lenders were not meaningfully engaged. The TCMC staff included lenders as a target group in the focus groups and reached out to a number of mortgage lenders requesting participation. We focused on local credit unions because we assumed that they would answer a random email from someone at the city, more likely than like Bank of America or something. And ultimately, only the Washington State Housing Finance Commission chose to attend or did attend. That was the only lender that was at the table. I will own up to that. Not including appraisers is something that we're trying to correct. In all of these, there is something that is useful for us to make our work better. Unclear how low scores, not scores, may affect valuation or financing. In markets with required home energy score disclosure, appraisers may consider energy information as one of many inputs, but it has not emerged as a dominant or determinative factor in valuation. Thurston County Realtors Association, I have a special note that I wanted to make sure I say about this. So we engaged realtors through this process and did intend to do this through the Realtors Association. I had reached out to the then president and members of their government affairs committee who had come to me to say, hey, we heard you're doing this, please keep us in the loop. But there is disagreement on affiliation and representation. These members that were participating in the focus groups, and even Kim, who has been in our call for Community Advisory Work Group since it started, weren't official representatives of Thurston County Realtors Association. The staff report does show affiliations, but just to clarify, they were not, it's not an official statement. I learned on Friday that the president is the only person of the Realtors Association, is the only one who is the official spokesperson. So add some clarification there.
Noted and understood. We're not the president. Like, pass that message on. Noted and understood.
In their encouragement and in their statement, they had encouragements to pause mandatory home energy score adoption, to expand voluntary programs, to offer incentives for energy upgrades, to leverage existing building codes for new construction, and to convene realtors, appraisers, lenders, inspectors, and housing stakeholders before advancing policy. I have some responses. The formal adoption of the home energy score ordinance is not yet on a Tumwater agenda, so I would consider it on pause at this point. It's not been brought forward at this point. We continue to pursue voluntary programs alongside other efforts such as Energize Thurston. We received the Habitat for Humanity on behalf of the Climate Collaborative has received 2 grants so far in order to continue Energize Thurston in 2026. And we're awaiting notification from Department of Commerce about a much larger grant that would really open it up for a lot of folks in our area for Energize Thurston in 2026. Puget Sound Energy, our local energy utility, offers the energy upgrades. We could do this as well if council so chooses. New construction's use of new energy codes does not help us reduce emissions in existing residential buildings, which is where our giant section is. Oh, and staff vote for ample participation. Councilmember Agabi.
So that bullet point number 4 is not necessarily true because some homes are now being built with green energy source, and it has been amply documented that they are indeed reducing emissions. It kind of depends on which source you're looking at to make that statement.
Yes, right now it won't solve the problem, but in the future, as time moves on, it will help with future existing residential home efficiency.
In the packet, so you said, what, 2/3 of the homes that are currently built right now will be here in 50 years?
That need to be built, 2/3 of the housing that we need to meet future housing projections already exist today.
Thank you, Peter.
And I wanted to throw out too that, the state building code wasn't, the new one with the, energy code, with the ones that would require the heat pumps incentives and tighter building, EV and solar readiness, electric backup, that wasn't adopted until 2024. And so we have a new, like, hundreds of homes that are coming online that did not, that applied for permits or anything that are not going to be built this way. And so, you know, just trying to meet our own climate goals ourselves, that, you know, we have this expectation that, you know, we've got these homes, but they won't be built to these standards. So we're still, you know, even, so that, those ones that are coming online are still kind of going to be ones that we're going to have to still be looking at. So paying attention to, as well as the ones that we're looking at retrofitting as well. So.
Mm-hmm. And I nor this work is perfect. There are concerns that were raised that are really, really useful. And I wish that I knew them earlier, but we know them today and we can proceed with this information. And I'm grateful to those who raised those concerns, such as unclear how low scores may affect mortgage insurance rates or insurability. It's a legit concern. Now we know to look into that. And state law, the REIT restricts local governments that have time of sale requirements. Didn't know about that either. So now we will look into them. To state it simply, more direction from City Council and revisions from the City Attorney are needed to get the HES ordinance fully ready for City Council consideration should you want to. We need to work out a solution for enforcement that everyone is comfortable with. We need to clarify REIT RCW impacts, and we need to discuss the proposal with mortgage insurance and assessment industries to identify any unanticipated impacts. Thurston County held a public hearing on the home energy score ordinance on February 17th. They also, back in, I think, November, held a work session on that as well. The City of Olympia has already held a study session and will tentatively consider home energy score at a March meeting. It is now a week later. I turned this into the city clerk before I learned that this is a week later than the date posted here. And the City of Lacey has determined that they will not consider adopting home energy score in 2026. So these are the decision options in order of my preference, but I know that we're not making this, you all, the powerful ones, are not making decisions tonight, but I just wanted to note that these are some options to think about. There's the option of continuing discussion on the home energy score ordinance so that City Council may formally consider adoption, to not continue discussion on home energy score ordinance and stop work on this effort, to support the development of a voluntary program, or something else that I haven't thought of yet because I don't think of everything. So I'm happy to take a whole bunch of questions now.
You go back one slide, Alyssa. I'm going to start virtually with Joan and Peter. Just thoughts on what you've heard, right? We're not making any decisions tonight, but a temperature check with everyone so that we give some direction of what you'd like next, right? We've heard a lot of concerns. We've heard a lot of follow-up. So Joan, let's start with you and then we'll go to Peter.
You know, I don't really have any questions. I have too many notes. And I can't form it in the form of questions. It's kind of overwhelming.
I apologize. I know I put, I can't do it. This is a problem. I gave a lot of information. Thank you for taking in as much of it as you could. Yeah. This presentation will be made available, and I am so happy to nerd out in a one-on-one meeting on this anytime you want.
So could we chunk some of it out and eat the elephant in smaller bites as we move forward? I guess, like, Joan, do you want to continue this discussion? One thing, Angela. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Joan, you want to continue this conversation. Perfect. Thank you. That's great feedback for Alyssa of how we provide the chunks of information.
I think, you know, I don't want you to do anything special, particularly for me, but I don't think that I had a good enough understanding and paid maybe enough attention going into it, or, you know, some of the nuances and different things. So
that's valid because it hasn't come to council.
Right.
So that's completely valid, Joan. That's great feedback.
I take responsibility for that, but it was just, yeah. Thank you.
I think we're all in the same boat.
First time you're hearing it.
Thank you, Joan. Peter,
okay.
And then we'll go to Angela.
So For about 22 years, I work in enforcement for the state of Washington. And we have a RCW and WAC that we will look to in terms of our compliance and how to remediate areas that needed some kind of action. So for this, right, this is not my first time of hearing this. And what keep coming to me is how would you enforce this? There is no mechanism to enforce this. You have to have that in place first before you can have stuff like this become, I guess, normal. So I think this is a novel idea. I like it, but I think we're putting the horse before the cart.
Great feedback, Peter. Well, does that make sense?
Yeah, there are a lot of good examples from throughout the country on exactly how to enforce this. It would be a shift for us to be doing proactive enforcement versus reactive enforcement. There are services where we could have people scrub real estate listings and identify non-compliant properties, and then we could issue letters of non-compliance and go through the formal process of issuing fines and seeking correction. Also, the Northwest MLS process of not actually being able to post your listing until you provide that information is another way of kind of proactively enforcing.
All right, so we got yes for continued conversation from Joan and Peter. We're going to mix it up. Angela had her hand up, so we're going to go to Angela, and then we're going to break up.
Yes, continue the discussion. And more information for me is always better than less. You are the lead in this, so, you know, go back and look into what the realtor said. You guys chew on that information a little bit at the county level, but I like the way this is going, and you're leading from the front. Thank you.
We're going to do Kelly, Eileen, and then Megan, Brandon. I'll remember that.
Yeah, I too would like to continue the discussion, because it's a lot, and I'm not sorry, Joan, because this didn't come to council, so I don't have anything to apologize for.
That's right.
So, and you don't be sorry either. But I'm glad that it has now, and I think that there's still some things that we need to flush out. But this is a really good start on foundation for me to better understand. So I really appreciate it.
So I've been sitting this longer than a lot of people because I've been on this committee for a long time, and I was sharing with Dan recently. So the way my brain works is I was thinking about like home inspection, when we sell our homes. And I didn't realize that it's not legally required for you to have your home inspected before you sell it. I didn't know that. I really thought it was a deal. I really thought it was a law. So I'm nerding out today, looking all this stuff up, you know, to find out what this is all about. I'm not kidding. And so I see y'all laugh, but I am nerding out here, right? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So, and the fact, you know, that you really had to do this, and then it goes, so in 1994, it becomes a thing where you have to fill out this Form 17, which is still you as a buyer just saying, well, you know, or a seller that you think, you know, you bought, if you bought your house, you know what that looks like.
Right.
You have to,
Damage.
it's like how many pages long where you check all these boxes and you hope to shout that, you know, you get that all figured out. And so, but it's not legally required. And so then it becomes a thing where it's like, well, where did it kick in where you felt like it's a legal thing? And so then it came in like in 2008, I think. I'm looking where my, yeah, it becomes like a law in 2008 because there's all these lawsuits that start to come up. So then the legislature decides that they're going to come to the whole thing where they have home inspectors, and then they have this advisory committee, and then they get them all licensed. And so now we have this whole field of home inspectors, which I was thinking, well, that's why I asked you about the home energy score piece of it, because they don't have to go to training. We don't have to do an advisory board. That already exists. So that was one less thing to have to worry about.
So temperature check, do you want to continue this conversation?
I was going to land the plane eventually.
Well, I mean, it's close to 8 p.m., and we have to hear from 2 other council members.
Okay. So yes, I would like to see, but I do want to go on record saying I have respect for the fact of the enforcement piece, and then who in our organization is gonna be responsible for this. And so I do have respect for that. I don't want to put something into play
Right.
that we can't, you know, that is gonna make, whose department's gonna be responsible for it. So I do
Right.
want to, yeah, but
Budget implications.
this is something that I really think that we should be doing. I think it's very important. So I really believe in it.
Thank you. Couldn't land the plane. You landed it perfectly. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you.
Thank you for this very detailed information. I learned a lot. I still have lots of curiosity about some of the pieces that you identified as areas for further research, and I too would like to continue this conversation to learn more as you all learn more about what questions we have seen raised, how that pans out.
Ditto.
Do you have what you need from us?
I didn't get your
You
vote
don't
there.
want it in support because I pushed to get this on the agenda,
Yes.
and I was able to get it on the agenda.
Thank you, I've been trying.
I think we can definitely, you know, go back, you know, look at those areas of further information that Alyssa had alluded to, see if we can get some resolution to some of those questions that exist out there. Maybe kind of look back at some enforcement models, you know, and, you know, maybe in a month or two, come back and provide some of that more. We may reach out in the meantime too, if there was something else that, you know, maybe kind of stuck out to us as a question, like, you know, of areas of concern. You know, obviously we have our internal folks that we need to be extra, we're, you know, presenting this as well too, and making sure that, you know, we're crossing our concerns as well. But if anything comes up for you in the meantime, between now and then, after you get a copy of the presentation, you can digest stuff, please reach out if you have a particular question or concern that we can follow up on that.
The thought process is we're thinking another work session so we can dive in, right? So we're gonna take our time. We're gonna figure out what this looks like in Tumwater. The other thought is, is there a repository on our website where we can start putting this information?
And put it on the sustainability division section?
And
You want it on a website, kind of forward facing, or like a SharePoint internally for folks' websites?
I like it,
Yeah.
external.
Right, because that's another way is your communications
Yeah.
plan for external partners and the other entities you've identified. That's how we start building that relationship.
And you're gonna, have conversation with the Realtors President
Yes.
Association,
I'll
right?
do it the official way per their bylaws.
Okay.
You know, I'm just thinking about this from like the process of a home seller or a home buyer. And I can see from a seller's perspective,
Yeah.
it's an extra step,
Yeah.
and an extra cost, and, you know, it's complex enough as it is. So that would be their disincentive to want to do it. But on the flip side of that, as a buyer, like, there's a huge value add, especially if you can build some of these improvements into your financing. I would have loved to have been able to replace my roof and include that in my home loan. And
Mhm.
so now I got whatever money it is. So that's a
It's a lot of money.
Right. So I guess where I'm going with this, to land my plane, where I'm going with this is, are there realtors that are thinking about the buyers that are actually really excited about this program? And would they be willing to, you know,
Great question.
because we're
More to
hearing,
come.
yeah.
Okay.
Is there also a possibility of working with, Northwest MLS to put on like a voluntary point on their,
There-
just like Tumwater alone, just be like, hey, yes, here this is, like, mark the box if they do have a HES score and here's what it is.
My understanding is that there's a green building box that's already there. So people have the opportunity to do that already. It's not necessarily home energy score, it's whatever. It could be LEED, it could be HERS score, which is another score system that costs a lot more money, is much more intensive with blower door and stuff.
Can you pull that data? Is that?
I cannot, but someone I know might. Maybe not, I'm not sure. I don't have access to Northwest MLS. I can reach out to Northwest MLS and ask them what information they'd be willing to share.
Can I-
Maybe they can come to a work session.
Yeah, can I just give,
Yeah.
a little bit of feedback, because I've heard testimony, about how 150 to, it's not a lot of money. And I just want to, let's not, just because some of us have the privilege of, $150 isn't anything. So just when you're thinking about key messages and just being very mindful that, to some people, $150 is make or break. Like, am I gonna eat? Am I not? So, and it wasn't you that said it. I've seen, yeah, in the testimony, I've heard that argument, and that just, to me,
having been someone who has literally, am I going to pay my electric bill this month or my water bill, and have to make that decision, that is, I would never state that. I grew up in a family with a mother whose home was foreclosed and then later evicted. I know that $150 is a lot of money. Could be a lot of money to anyone at any time in our lives.
Recognition of that is kind of the subsidy.
Yes, I love that. I love
as well
that.
as, you know, someone might not have qualified for a subsidy on one hand. There is the undue hardship, you know, appeal that can be made.
Yes.
Right? Both those momentary circumstances.
And we were really purposeful to make so that everyone, no matter their income, could benefit from the information. There was some conversation like, should we just exempt people who are of low income? No, we need to provide the support to make sure everyone's on equal footing for the same information to make good decisions. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So more to come, and thank you to our guests who are on the side.
How many of us are going to dream about home energy scores tonight? I'm looking forward to not dreaming about home energy scores tonight, if I can.
Mayor, city administrator, and you're welcome. We have the report, because now we are now adjourned at 8 p.m.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Peter.